Hello everyone, my name is Shubham Sagar and today we have to do weekly current affairs from 19th to 24th January 2026. Let's start without wasting any time. My name is Shubham Sagar and you can call me Shubh. Let's talk about the first article of the day, which published in The Hindu on 24th January 2026, page 6 editorial related to GS2, because here we are talking about governance, we are talking about corruption, and it is also related to GS4 because in GS4 also you have corruption elements, you have governance element in like GS4 and corruption. Like when you read about corruption, when you read about ethics and all, you read about second ARC, second Administrative Reforms Commission, and in that there is a report which is known as Ethics and Governance Report. So ethics and governance report, second ARC, they say that corruption is an exception rather than a norm in most countries of the world. In India, corruption is a norm rather than an exception. So they say that. And second thing which they also talk about corruption is a low return, high risk activity in most countries of the world. In India, corruption is a high return, low risk activity. So keep these points in mind. In that regard, let's have a look at this editorial written by Prashant Bhushan and Cheryl D'Souza. So what they're talking about is, let's say you people become civil servants. So if you people are involved in some corruption charges, so police cannot initiate proceedings against you. Before doing that, they have to take prior sanction from government, and that raises question related to Article 14, equality before law. Everybody is equal in the eyes of law, right? So if there are corruption related charges against you, why somebody's permission has to be taken? It goes beyond equality before law. Even if you're a civil servant or you are not, corruption is corruption, right? So that is what we are discussing here. On January 13, a two-judge bench of Supreme Court delivered a split verdict. Split verdict means one said something, other said something else. On like what they are talking about, PCA, Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, Section 17A. What this section talks about, this section entails that a prior government sanction is needed, before any inquiry or investigation is done against people who have corruption allegation against them. So this raises question, because these corruption related charges, they are time sensitive. Evidences can be destroyed if decision means inquiry is not initiated. So that's why police cannot even begin inquiry without approval. That raises the question. We are taking prior sanction from government authorities, and there are many reports and committees who say that there's a nexus. There's a nexus between police, politicians, and criminals. So it's like generally the police officers, you will be part of the government, right? And there is a collusive corruption which is involved there. These people, they are all, in Hindi we call it ek hi thali ki chatti batti. That means they are all pieces of the same particular entity which we are calling here. What we are talking about is this NN Vohra committee, and they talked about this politician bureaucrat criminal nexus. All these people, they are involved. So if let's say I'm charging a police officer or a civil servant, and for initiating corruption proceedings against him, I have to take uh, prior sanction from government who are also involved. It won't, it will totally undermine corruption. So petitioner argument, corruption undermines the rule of law. This whole thing that for civil servants we have to take permission, prior sanction, it undermines rule of law. It undermines Article 14, equality before law. Everybody should be same when it comes to corruption charges, be it public servant or non-public servant, civil servant or non-civil servant. Given the government power to block investigation creates conflict of interest, allowing corruption to go unchecked. You know, maybe even government is involved here. So you cannot allow government to give prior sanction. So here there are two people, like two judges. One judge is saying that no, prior sanction, this section 17A of PCA has to go. There should not be any prior sanction which should be needed, right? If there are corruption charges, it should be like police has to start inquiry without taking prior sanction. The second judge is saying that no, 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 it's not as straightforward. When you people will become civil servant, you will realize that you will have a lot of enemies. You are outside, you're dealing with people, different kind of people, so there can be frivolous cases against you. So if this whole thing, there will be multiple cases against you, that will be a norm, guys, and then be ready for it. So if criminal proceedings or corruption proceedings are initiated against you without prior sanction, you may feel fearful. whether I have to take this particular action or not, whether any criminal proceedings will be initiated against me, So that can cause policy paralysis. You people, civil servants and ordinary men, are not exactly same. You will have more responsibilities. You will deal with more people on a day-to-day basis, unlike other people, right? So you are not exactly same, and that's why prior sanction is needed, so that there is no policy paralysis, so that there are no frivolous cases against you, because on the field you will create enemies. So again, we will talk about that particular point. Reliance on past judgment. Vinit Narayan versus Union of India, it was like no, no, no. In that Vinit Narayan case, it was like no prior sanction is needed. Investigative decisions must rest with CBI, not executive, because if government is giving prior sanction, there are very high probability, or very high probability, there's a very high probability that government is also involved with these police officers who are involved in corruption. It's all like everything is rotten from bottom to top. So that's why the second judge is also saying that we need this particular protection, but at the same time, this prior sanction should not be taken from government. It should be taken from a neutral authority, let's say a lokpal. So we'll talk about what these two judges are saying. So emphasize equality before law. This whole Vinit Narayan case, that no, 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 prior sanction is not needed. Everybody is equal when it comes to corruption charges. And Envora committee also said that these politicians, bureaucrat, criminals, they are all, there is a nexus between them. They're all, you know, together in certain aspects. Legislative attempts to bypass Vinit Narayan. Government did not like this thing that prior sanction is not needed. So they passed Section 6A. They enacted Section 6A of DSPE Act, Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. And again, here also they said that prior sanction is needed for senior officers. If there are senior civil servants and there are corruption charges against them, police cannot initiate inquiry without taking prior sanction from the government. So government keep on coming up with different provision. Supreme Court struck down something, they will come up with something else. So let's say Supreme Court struck down one particular A provision of B Act. Then what government will do? Government will enact C provision in D Act. And if Supreme Court struck down the C provision in D Act, then government will come up with E provision in F Act. So this is going on, and this is actually making a mockery of judiciary. So legislative attempt to bypass Vinit Narayan. So government enacted some provision in Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. Then Subramanian Swamy judgment came versus Director CBI. They said that no, Section 6A of DSP is also unconstitutional. And again, this whole thing is violating Article 14, equality before law. You will see Article 14 being invoked a lot in these corruption cases. Law is above you, however hard you may be. The basic rationale is corruption charges, public servant or not, proceeding should be initiated against both of you. Section 17A, we are talking about PCA now, Prevention of Corruption Act, the current case. Why it was challenged? Expands unconstitutional protection to all public servants. It's not about senior public servants, it's about everyone. If you're a public servant, if any corruption charges are against you, it has to be taken, like prior sanction has to be taken. It defies letter and spirit. And then there was a judgment, Lalita Kumari versus Government of Uttar Pradesh, where it was mandatory to register FIR for cognizable offenses. What are cognizable offenses? Serious offenses. Let's say murder, rape, dowry death. You know, all these are cognizable offenses, dowry death, terror related charges, terror related charges. So these are, cases, offenses which are time sensitive. If time is gone, then evidences will be destroyed and whatnot. And these are very, very sensitive nature of crime. So these are cognizable offenses. In this scenario, police can arrest you without a warrant. Police can initiate FIR against you. So all these things can be done because these are, you can see, heinous crimes, time sensitive crimes, very serious offenses. So cognizable offense. Hope you understood what are cognizable offense. There FIR registration is needed. But this whole section 17, even in that scenarios, they will say that no, 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 and even some of the corruption related charges are under this. So they're saying that no, 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 prior sanction is needed. So Lalita Kumari versus Government of UP, FIR registration for cognizable offenses. And then now what these two judges are talking about Section 17A, this prior sanction thing. Even if you forget about other things, focus on Section 17A, prior sanction, needed or not. What is your view on this? What do you think about it? Do you think there should be a prior sanction for civil servants? Put yourself in that particular domain, think that you have become a civil servant. You become what you think, guys. So you have to think that way. Always say five things every day. I'm the best, I can do it, God is always with me, today is my day, I'm a winner. And you will be a winner. You have to think. And what I was saying, I forgot. So yeah, what is your view? Do you think prior sanction should be there for civil servants for corruption related charges? Or do you think no? So Justice Nagaratna sir, he's saying that prior sanction prevents inquiry at inception. Shield corruption. There is a time, this time can be used by these corrupt public servants to destroy evidence. And conflict of interest is sanctioning authority and accused officer belong to the same institutional setup. Civil servants part of government. Government is giving sanction, or this sanction. So again, they're part of the same setup, guys. So it's so wrong at so many different levels. Justice Vishwanathan, the second judge, is saying that government controlled sanction is unconstitutional. Government should not be giving sanction. Maybe a neutral body, let's say Lokpal, can give sanction, but prior sanction is needed. They are saying that no, Section 17A of PCA 1988 is needed because it ensures that honest officers are not burdened with frivolous cases. It ensures there is no policy paralysis. So in those scenarios, in those regards, you need Section 17A. Hope you are understanding where we are going with these. So, core constitutional disagreement. Both judges are agreeing that Section 17A is unconstitutional if sanction power rests with the government. So, government should not be giving the sanction. Second judge is saying that it should be restored in a neutral body. First judge is saying that remove Section 17A. Disagreement lies whether any prior approval itself is unconstitutional. Nagaratna sir is saying that no prior approval is needed. And the second judge, Vishwanathan sir, is saying that no, we can use an independent organization to give this sanction rather than government to avoid that they are not a part of the same institutional setup. So because two judges, they are giving split verdict, now it will be given to a bigger bench will decide how things will pan out and whether Section 17A or PCA 1988 will stay or not. This is important, guys. Whatever I have told you about corruption, second ARC, ethics in governance, note it down somewhere. You have to write it in your mains answer. Corruption is an exception rather than a norm. Corruption is a norm rather than an exception. All these points are actually important. Okay, so if you see this mains question, corruption is anathema to the rule of law, yet honest decision making by public servants must be protected against the rule of law, they are saying actually. So here you will talk about, critically examine how constitutional balance can be achieved. You can talk about how it is against the rule of law, how it is undermining Article 14. Everyone should be equal before law, right? Public servant or not. And then why honest decision making should be protected, why you need prior sanction to avoid frivolous cases, to avoid policy paralysis. So how can a balance be maintained? Balance can be maintained if prior sanction is not given by government but by an independent authority. Or maybe we can do away with Section 17A. You can write whatever you want to write, but you have to quote whatever we have just discussed. Section 17A of Prevention of Corruption Act mandates prior sanction before inquiry, and corruption poses a serious study. Here you can start with even the definition of corruption. What we have discussed, corruption is a exception rather than a norm, is an exception rather than a norm in most countries of the world. In India, corruption is a norm rather than an exception. Corruption is a low return high risk activity in most countries of the world. In India, corruption is a high return low risk activity. You can talk about it, and then you can talk about Section 17 here, Prevention of Corruption Act, why it is needed to protect honest officer from frivolous complaints, policy paralysis, why there is a concern, prior sanction, who is giving prior sanction, government, part of the same institutional setup. It's like Karthik calling Karthik, it doesn't make any sense. All these people, they are involved in that crime, and what we are not saying always involved, we are saying if they can be involved. So even if prior sanction is needed, give it to a neutral body, like the second judge was saying, maybe to Lokpal. Violates earlier ruling, Vinit Narayan, Subramanian Swamy, which have struck down different provision, and then Lalita Kumari case, which is saying that FIR has to be lodged for cognizable offense. So this whole Section 17A is in a way undermining these judgment. And then what these judges said, we have talked about it, you can read it. So insulation of investigative agencies has to be done. Independent screening mechanism. This whole sanctioning thing can be given to an independent authority, let's say Lokpal. Time bound sanction decisions. Even if Lokpal is taking the decision, there has to be a time frame in how many days, because time is a very crucial essence. Time is a crucial essence here in these scenarios. They can destroy evidence, they can do anything. Clear distinction between policy errors and corrupt intent. All these things have to be done. If you want to remove corruption in India and minimize corruption, you cannot remove it. It's deeply ingrained. Why I'm saying it? Because there is a corruption perception index. Corruption perception index by an organization which is known as Transparency International. Corruption perception index, Transparency International. Now this is your homework, guys. Find out what is India's rank in corruption perception index. you will realize how deeply ingrained corruption is in India. So now the conclusion is not merely who grants approval, Lokpal or not, but whether you need approval or whether this whole approval thing is undermining Article 14. As constitutionally valid anti-corruption regime must ensure law above all, public servant or not. So again, you can read all these things. Let's see how the bigger judge bench decide about, or talk about, or what they say about this section 17A of PCA. Let's solve some question, guys, so that you can remember stuff whatever we have discussed. Solving MCQs and mains question is the best way to remember stuff. So which of the following judgments laid down that registration of an FIR is mandatory when information discloses the commission of a cognizable offense? Chepandi's guys, Cheputal Suledu Kadu. That means tell me fast. Vinit Narayan, Union of India, Lalita Kumari, Government of UP, Menaka Gandhi, Union of India. So the answer is Lalita Kumari versus Government of UP. MCQ2. Which article was most frequently invoked in challenging protection against corruption investigation? What article we have talked about a lot in this article, in this particular news, right? So the answer is Article 40. Equality before law. Revised Part 3 of the Constitution, guys. Fundamental rights, Article 12 to 35. Let's move on to the next article, published in the Hindu on 20th January, page 14 GS2. We'll talk about it. Just give me a second so that I stop. I don't speak like Shankar Mahadevan, breathless. So 20th January, page 14 GS2. This article is talking about World Economic Forum. There'll be lots of to and fro talks here. Trump is doing certain stuff, Greenland, German Chancellor is taking a somewhat offensive thing that no, this is so wrong. Maybe Germany is reminded of who they were before 1945, World War One, World War Two. So, but more than that, the important thing here is WEF, World Economic Forum. They'll be meeting here. World Economic Forum. But here, this is an informal kind of a meeting between, like, but big people come here and they have discussions. Private sector entities, public sector, government officials, heads. They come, they talk, decide policies and all. Not binding, non-binding, but they talk about it. And this happens in Davos. It is not Davos, it is Davos. It is in Switzerland. Remember these facts, guys. UPSC loves to ask questions on World Economic Forum. So before we talk about this article, the important thing, World Economic Forum, non-profit organization, they can ask you what they are. And you can see the year headquarter is in Geneva, near Geneva, Switzerland. They meet annually at Davos. It's a very famous meeting. There was one meeting where even Nirav Modi was seen with Narendra Modi, sir. You people have to research on who is Nirav Modi and economic fugitive or what. So again, so what I'm trying to say is public sector or government heads of different governments, different countries, as well as big private companies, heads, they come, they talk, attended by heads of state, CEOs, central bank. You can see this. So it's actually a very influential meeting, although informal, although non-binding, but has a lot of significance in world policies or how world policies are formulated. So World Economic Forum promotes public-private cooperation. Nature of discussion is informal, but very high level. Big people, big influential people are meeting here from both public as well as private arena. So leaders now here in this Davos, EU members, EU countries, and US, they will be talking. And that's please don't annex Greenland. And Trump will talk about these PYQs, and Trump is like, no, we'll do it. So let's focus. So European leaders, what they are saying that if Trump can impose tariff, we can also impose tariff. But this whole tariff war, an eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. So this should not be the new norm. Announced new tariff on 7 EU member states. This is going against globalization. This is wrong on so many levels. So German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, he is saying that, and he was there in India, and he would seek talks with President Trump at World Economic Forum, and he's arguing that US economy is underperforming. All these things, this is not helping anyone. What is the basic rationale of globalization? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, whole world is one family, right? So if some country is producing some cheaper things, I will buy it from you. If I'm producing cheaper goods, you will buy it from me. Everybody, as our honorable PM sir says, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and 1718 more Sabkas. You remember them. So globalization indeed promotes holistic development of all, and this whole tariff thing will not help anyone. So despite that, he warned that EU would retaliate if it faces tariff it considers unreasonable. So Mr. Merch is a little bit in out of these all European leaders, he is the one who is a little bit more forthcoming, so to say, unlike the other leaders. EU-US trade deal resulted in most EU goods. You can see tax. Tariff has been used as a tool. Tax has been used as a tool by Trump to do stuff. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer ruled out a tariff war. So he's somewhat more, he's not that aggressive like German Chancellor. Saying, see this German Vice Chancellor, Finance Minister, they are saying that Germany and France would not allow themselves to be blackmailed. So little bit offensive tone you are seeing here. UK Prime Minister is like, no, no, no. Retaliatory tariffs are not in anyone's interest and all. So again, you can forget about all these things. Greenland future. This is a evolving development. We'll talk about Greenland in subsequent lectures as well. But right now, what is very important in this article is World Economic Forum. Anything and everything related to World Economic Forum, you have to keep that in mind. So now let's solve some question. PYQ3 asked by UPSC in 2006. Where is Davos, the venue of annual meeting of World Economic Forum, located? Chipandis, Cheputelsu Ledu, Kadu. So that means, tell me. So Davos is located in Switzerland. You can pause me, you can unpause me. At the end, you can write in the comment section how many questions you got correct. PYQ4 asked for UPSC in 2009. You see places, you see countries, how many of them are correctly matched. Use option elimination, use whatever we have studied now and try to eliminate options, right? So Davos, it is not in Denmark, right? This is wrong. Davos is Switzerland. So if you eliminate second, you will get the answer. Even if you don't know anything about Cannes and Roland Garros, you will be able to get the answer. Roland Garros, French Open. If you people know tennis, you know Roland Garros. It is one of the four Grand Slams. Vamos! Rafael Nadal used to say Vamos. If you know who is Rafa Nadal, you can post it in the comment section. Cool. So the answer is A1 only. Cannes is in France. Davos is in Switzerland. Roland Garros is in France again. So yeah, it's a good question. Revise. PYQs help you understand which areas UPSC loves to ask questions, from. So MCQ 5, World Economic Forum is what? Is described as a platform for what? Gee, Pandis, tell me. Treaty negotiations and binding resolution, public-private cooperation and agenda setting, military and security alliances, arbitration of international trade dispute. The answer is public-private cooperation and agenda setting. Next article, 21st January, page 10, GS2, GS3, GS2. So we are talking about different countries coming together for Pax Silica. GS3, economic perspective, and we are talking about different types of rare earth elements and all. So technological aspect is also involved here, science and tech. So importance of Pax Silica. What is this Pax Silica? It's an initiative which US has convened in December 2025. First PAX summit happened, PAX Silica summit. PAX is P, silica is core semiconductor material. So, you have these semiconductor, you have rare earth elements, you have critical earth elements. China is a pioneer in it, but China do coercive acts. They are like quid pro quo thing. You will do this for me, then I will give you this and that. So too much dependency on any one country is not good. And that's why US came up with this PAX Silica summit. Initiative aims to promote peace, prosperity, and resilient technology supply chain. It's like, China is saying, if you give me dairy milk, Milky Bar, or Cadbury chocolate, then I will give you this critical mineral and all. So it's kind of a blackmailing. We cannot be, we should, and again, too much dependence on anyone is bad, be it in your personal relationship or be it in country to country relationship, so to say. So the north south divide in economic and resource use, you can see all these things. So what is basically Pax Silica? Semiconductor materials, critical earth materials, rare earth elements. We want to, or US and their partners, they want to reduce their reliance on China. The first Pax Silica summit, India was not invited in this, or India was not a part of this. But now, as you can see in this article, you will see in the subsequent part, I will show you. So let me show you something and then we'll talk about all these things. See, India was not invited for the first Pax Silica summit, but US Ambassador Sergio Gore is saying India would soon be invited. But this is actually a very unique scenario. Why it is unique? Because most of the countries which are part of Pax Silica, they're all developed countries. It is said that India will be the first developing country which will be a part of Pax Silica. The second thing is, most of these countries who are part of Pax Silica, they have some amount of their military ally of US. NATO countries or some, even Australia, New Zealand, and US, they have a military alliance. India will be the first non-military ally of this Pax Silica. So there can be certain discrepancies or there can be some issues between these countries. I hope you can understand expectation variance. what these developed countries will expect from India and what India will give them. India cannot open their market totally for these countries. We have our own industries to protect. So all these things have to be taken care of. So let's see. Objectives of Pax Silica: reduce coercive dependency in critical minerals. Coercive dependency is this only. China will give you critical minerals only if you do certain things for them, right? So, secure global tech and AI supply chains. We want to reduce our dependency. The thing right now is not about cost and efficiency, it's about trust. Whom you can rely on, whether you can rely on China at all. Earlier, what used to happen, even currently, normal people, we buy stuff which is actually cheap. We don't say cheap, we say it cost efficient. But more than the cost part right now is the trust part. Who can supply us for a longer period of time without creating problems for us? So these countries, they are realizing, US, and they realize they cannot depend on China for that. So key participating countries, you can see US, Japan, they all have their own strength. You can read it in your free time. Israel is there, UK, Qatar, UAE. Qatar and UAE, they have a lot of money. Singapore, South Korea, Australia, most of these are developed countries. India, when if India joins, it will be the first developing country. Let me show you what first are associated with India, and then we'll talk about other things. See, India. Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you. In the meantime, let me pause also. So, what are the first thing? Anything first is very important. Your first love, your first crush, your this and that. So, India would be the first developing country in Pax Silica. Most of these countries, like most what, all countries are developed. India will be the first developing, but will become a developed country by 2047, as stated by our honorable PM sir. First non-US ally here. Ally means military ally. Most of these countries, they are military allies of US, NATO, and all. This could create an expectation gap. What is expectation gap? That what these countries are expecting from India and what India can provide. That is called expectation gap. So we have to vary of all these things. How much we can allow these countries and their companies inside India, how much they will impact our local companies, so to say, and why they need India. Because in India there is something which is going on which is known as reverse brain drain. What is reverse brain drain? Reverse brain drain is a scenario because of the reduction in H1B visa, this and that. More and more intellectual people, high quality learned students, they're coming back to India. So we are having a lot of intellectual people which these countries can tap into. Anyway, we are very good in services sector, right? So they are looking at that from India. And they are also looking at our market. So let's see how things pan out. Why Pax Silica? Because we don't want Chinese dominance. That's what is written here. Impact of Chinese restrictions. India faced disruptions in the rare earth magnets and all. So we all have faced brunt of Chinese restriction. They can do anything they want to, right? If they're not having good relation with US, maybe they will restrict the amount of rare earth and critical earth minerals and elements which they will send to these countries. So we don't want to be dependent, and that's what COVID taught us. Over dependence on a single country is not good. You can read all these things in your free time. I'm not reading the slide. I've given you the basic rationale. So COVID taught us dependence is not good. And we came during COVID time, like around that time, 2019 to 2021, we came up with a supply chain resilience initiative. So you have Quad. So the Quad mnemonic is JUS. I have already told you this. Japan, Australia, India, and USA. So out of this JUS, the J countries, they came up with the supply chain resilience initiative. Japan, Australia, and India. So here they are ensuring that they are sharing critical minerals and all these things among themselves. That is supply chain resilience initiative. Non-binding. It's not like it's binding and all. Just ensuring that not too much reliance on China is there. And then in 2025, J plus US, they all came together for this Quad Critical Minerals Initiative. So keep these points in mind, they're actually important. India's absence from Pax Silica. We're not part of the first Pax Silica summit. Remember, they can ask you in pre and other exams that India was a part of our first Pax Silica summit. That would be wrong. So keep these points in mind, they're actually important. Cool. So what India brings? Strong India-US technology collaboration history. So we are good in technology. We are good in semiconductors. Robust again, you can read all these things. And then there's another thing which is there. And what is that other thing? Reverse brain drain, which we have discussed. So India lags behind Pax Silica countries in AI and semiconductor maturity, but we are good in semiconductor. Like not that good, but we are still good, and we have human resource and high quality human resource at an affordable price. And Indian firms, you can see here, US firms, all of these are investing in India. But at the same time, we also have to be wary of the fact that how much we can allow these companies to come to India. So large number of Indian students pursuing CS, computer science, and AI PhDs, and they are coming back. Stricter US visa policy led to reverse brain drain. So these people, they can be thrusted into these areas. Semiconductor and AI, you can, this whole critical mineral thing, and they can be a critical part of this pack silica initiative. India, you can read all these things. We have discussed all the points which we need to discuss. Strategic autonomy concern, that is the point we are discussing. India's foreign and security response differ in nuance from US allies. We have to ensure that our strategic autonomy is not compromised. These are developed countries, big military powers. So we have to ensure our autonomy. We have to be very proactive that yes, we can allow this particular company to come to India, other companies cannot come. We have to protect our domestic industries, all these things. Future of supply rare earth elements, supply chains. You can see this. India continues to, China continues to dominate. Packs. So basically, what is going to happen now? There will be a two uh, arenas. China will be leading one arena of rare earth elements. The second arena will be led by pack silica. And where will India be? Looking at everything, India will be towards pack silica. Although US and India, they still have many issues to resolve, but China is, you may feel like currently we are having talks with China, but no. China and Pakistan are arch enemies. So we'll be more closer to Pac Silica than to China. Given historical collaboration with Western firms, we may lean towards Pac Silica, but whatever US economy, India US frictions are there, we have to resolve that. And we have to talk about what they want from us, why India is the first developing country in Pac Silica. So there are so many things which has to be cleared and which will be cleared in the upcoming time period. So yeah, let's see how things pan out. Cool. So PAC Silica reflects the growing securitization of technology supply chains. Examine the statement in the context of global geopolitics. So here you will talk about how it's not only about cost and efficiency anymore. It's about trust, whom we can trust. It's about reducing our over dependence on China, so to say. So you will talk about all these things. You can start any way you want to. In mains, there's no one size fit all approach. Role of RE, how they're important for AI, electric vehicles, and all. Geopolitical trigger, China, US duopoly is going on right now, and we don't want, world does not want Chinese dominance in this sector, and that's what Pax Silica tries to achieve: reduce strategic vulnerabilities, too much dependence on China, secure different arenas and sources. Again, you can see all these things. You can read it in your free time. If you have any queries, you can always put it in the comment section. Let's solve some question so that you can remember stuff in a much better manner. So, Pax Silica seeks to reduce coercive dependencies. In this particular context, which of the following best explains the term? What is Pax Silica? Dependence on multilateral financial institution, over reliance on a single country for critical technologies and minerals. Dependence on fossil fuel. The answer is B. Over reliance on a single country for critical technologies and minerals. Supply Chain Resilience Initiative, SCRI. What is the basic meaning of SCRI? Again, use option elimination. Try to solve this question. You can pause me whenever you are solving these questions and then unpause me. It's not a legally binding trade agreement. So you can eliminate third and you will get the answer A, 1 and 2 only. What does an expectation gap imply in international partnerships such as Pax Silica? Read all the options, pause me, unpause me. The answer is mismatch between what existing members expect and what a new member like India can deliver. What these developed countries they are expecting from India. A new member called India, which will be a part of Pax Silica. Like, share, and subscribe, guys. Spread the word. Now let's talk about 22nd January article. Just give me a second. So yes, sir. India's deltas shrinking due to human activity. So here it is about delta subsidence. So deltas and estuaries, if you talk about these things, so there is something called as estuary, there is something called as delta. How they are made? If you make India's map, so you will realize there are some rivers here, Narmada, Tapi and all. So they make estuaries, Narmada and Tapi. They are making estuary here. On the other hand, if you see Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, Ganga, Brahmaputra, so they are making deltas here. So it's basically in both estuaries and delta, river and ocean, they are interacting. But it's about who is the dominant partner, you know, who is the dominant partner out of river and sea. So in the case of delta, what is delta? Delta is the landform which is created at the mouth of river, landform at river mouth. So deposition of sediments, whatever river has carried, that is, you know, deposited at river mouth, and that forms delta at the junction of meeting of river and ocean. So here river is more dominant. They're depositing their sediments. In the case of estuaries, river and ocean, they're meeting, and sea water, ocean water is more dominant, and that's why ocean water enters into river, making it more salty. So that's why you see this area where estuaries are formed, and even around Gujarat coast, there are estuaries. They are salty. So this estuaries, the increased saltiness of the water reduces agricultural productivity. And again, what is the major difference between estuary and delta? About the dominance. Who is dominating here? When ocean water, sea water becomes dominant over river water, estuaries are formed. Sea water enters into river, make river water salty because sea water is saline in nature. When river is dominant partner, and between river and sea, at the meeting point, deltas are formed, land form at river mouth. Also in estuaries, they are formed where the sediment deposition is low, unlike deltas where the sediment deposition is high. So hope you understood some difference. We don't need to do PhD here. This is a current affairs class. But yeah, there are certain things which we need to know. Cool. So let's focus on the other aspects. What is happening? See, in delta sinking, it can happen naturally also. There are two ways by which these deltas sink, land sinks. One is when seawater rise. Seawater rise is a normal phenomena because of global warming and all. Seawater is rising, so land will submerge. The second thing is sediment compaction. Sediment compaction is, what is sediment compaction? Sediment compaction is river is bringing sediments with it, right? And at the delta, they'll be depositing it. And these sediments will be going one above the other. So it will be compacting land. It will be putting pressure on land, and land can submerge. Land can go down. So all these are natural causes. But this delta sinking here is not happening majorly because of natural causes. This is happening because of human-induced changes. One thing which is causing this land subsidence is urbanization, concretization. So we are making more and more architectures, putting pressure on land, buildings and all, leading to land subsidence, land sinking. So urbanization is one. Water, groundwater exploitation. Groundwater, they have their own, layers inside the ground, inside. And when you extract these aquifers, land goes down. So urbanization, groundwater extraction, these are two major reasons why deltas are sinking. And natural causes are fine. You can limit them to a certain extent. But these human induced causes are the major reason why things are happening the way they are happening. And this is not very good for us, because what will be the consequences of these, land submergence? You will lose your land. You will Saltiness of land will increase. We'll talk about all these things. Let's talk about other aspects. This is a very technical topic. Most of the people, if they have not read these things, you will not be able to answer this question properly. So major consequences: increased river flooding. So if the land goes down, sea level rise, so there will be a flooding, right? Permanent land loss. Your land has gone down, water has come up, you have lost the land. Salt water intrusion. Deltas, we're talking about deltas where river and ocean are merging, right? So if land is going down, seawater is coming up, and saltwater intrusion is happening. Agricultural degradation, you have lost land, saltiness has increased, for productivity has declined, damage to ports, transport, and urban infrastructure. So all in all, a loss scenario. And that's why we have to be very wary of these things. We have to be very wary of this land subsidence thing, land sinking thing. Hope you understood the basic rationale here. So international research team, European Space Agency, Sentinel-1, they are looking at data, land sinking data across major river deltas, and they are saying that almost all the major deltas in India, Ganga, Brahmaputra, Brahmani, Mahanadi, Godavari, Kaveri, and Kabani is in Odisha, majorly in Odisha, they all are facing land sinking. 90% of Ganga, Brahmaputra, Brahmani, and Mahanadi deltas are affected, and average sinking exceeds regional sea level rise, worsening relative sea level increase. So sea level rise is happening. That will lead to sinking. At the same time, other human induced changes are happening that will lead to more sinking. So it's not a good scenario for us. We'll lose a lot of land. More and more land will go inside the water. I will give you one example. So let's say there are terms which we talk about in geography: emergent landform, submergent landforms. Submergent landforms. So when your land is submerging at a much faster rate, or land sinking is happening at a much faster rate, then let's say land formation is also being done, right? So emergent landform, like I will give you another example. Let's talk about one simple example: Dwarka. There is a region called Dwarka near Gujarat. Earlier it was above land. Now it has gone inside water, and you will see many Hindu-related temples and architectures in Dwarka region. So this is an example of submergent landform which has gone inside water. Then there is a town which is known as Mujirish, if I'm not wrong. Mujirish, not it is not exactly. Is it Mujirish or is it something else? Korkai. So Korkai is a sub emergent landform. Emergent landform means earlier it was very near to the sea coast, but because of land formation and different geographical features, it has gone somewhat inside, and it's much farther away from the sea. So because of the emergent landform, land is also emerging. So there are two phenomena, guys. Land goes down, land goes up. Land formation happens because of different geomorphological factors. Here, the thing which we are talking about is land submergence, submergent landform. If the way, the if the speed of land submergence is much higher than the speed of land formation, you will see more submergent landform, and that is what we are seeing right now. Urban infrastructure, resource extraction, they are accelerating this land submergent phenomena, and that will lead to land loss, decline in agricultural productivity, more saltwater intrusion, because more and more ocean water will be coming around the coastal region, and we have to, and this is not good for us in the longer run, what even in the shorter run, so to say. Primary human, what are the human induced changes? Groundwater extraction, rapid urbanization. So these two. And then there are natural causes also. Sediment compaction. D- Rivers are bringing their sediments on around delta. They're depositing it. They're compacting it. More and more sediments are coming, putting pressure on land. Land is going down. And then tectonic theory. So plates are moving. You have different major plates, minor plates. They're moving here and there. That also causes land submergence. But human interventions have dramatically accelerated urbanization, groundwater extraction. They are accelerating this whole process. Not good for us. And what are the limitation of this particular survey? Limitation is data may be inaccurate for small, because in UPSC you talk about the positive as well as the negative point, right? So what are the negative points? Some of the data may be inaccurate. 40 data delta study does not represent the whole, all the deltas of the world, right? So this is not like this is true for India and or some other regions. This is not true for every delta of the world. So you have to take it with a pinch of salt. River deltas are among the most vulnerable landforms to the both natural and anthropogenic stresses. You can talk about the natural causes, tectonics, sediment compaction, and all, sea level rise, and then the anthropogenic stresses. Here you have to talk about urbanization, groundwater extraction. And because of these two factors, both of them coming together, river deltas have become the most vulnerable landforms. And then you talk about causes of land subsidence, natural and anthropomorphic causes, and the consequences: loss of land, agriculture degradation, intrusion of salt water, all these things, whatever we have discussed. You have enough points to talk about all the things. Let's solve MCQ 9. With reference to river delta subsidence, have a look at this particular question and use option elimination. You will be able to solve this particular question. So all river deltas subside only due to human activity. No, not all river deltas subside only due to human activities, both human as well as natural causes. So the answer is B, 2 and 3 only. MCQ 10. You have rivers, you have coastal landform, Kaveri, Godavari, Tapi and Narmada. Arrange them, which forms. Now here you have to use your pre-existing knowledge as well, right? So the answer is Narmada forms, does not form delta, it forms estuary. Godavari forms delta. Kaveri forms delta. So this is correct. So the answer is A. Tapi forms estuary. MCQ 11. Consider the following statement about urbanization in delta regions. So you have three statements. Have a look at them and try to solve these questions. So heavy infrastructure increases load on soft sediments. Urban expansion can reduce natural sediment deposition. Urbanization always reduces, not reduces, increases flood risk. We have discussed urbanization, groundwater extraction. So third is wrong. So the answer is A, 1 and 2 only. 23rd January, page 12, editorial GS2, Peace of Board. Here we are talking about Trump's Board of Peace. So Trump has talked about Pax Silica. He's also talking about Board of Peace. We need to know about these things. What do they actually mean? And this article is saying that, before India, Board of Peace, UN is not working properly. So in that regard, UN is having almost all countries of the world, 190 plus countries. Trump's Board of Peace will be very selective. Not all countries of the world will be a part of it. But It want to resolve issues between Israel and Palestine and all. India has been invited, but this article, this editorial published on 23rd January, this is saying that we should be wary, or we should be very wary about it. It's not like India-US relationship is at a loggerhead, so we may feel like we want to appease US. Don't appease US. Take decisions on the basis of merits and demerits. So peace board, what is UN so stance on this peace board? UN is like fine. Has given it tacit acceptance. UN Security Council has passed it, and that okay, board of peace can be created because they are resolving issues between Israel and Palestine. Board of peace, and they're playing a crucial role here. But in this UN Security Council, five permanent members, two members they abstained, they did not vote, Russia and China. It's not like they vetoed it. Veto means they forbid, forbid. They did not forbid it. They abstained it. They have no reaction to it. They're like, okay, we don't know what he's trying to do, so they abstained. But we don't want to stop this Israel-Palestine peace process, Hamas ceasefire, and we want these two countries to have a talk, and that's why this proposal was cleared by UNSC. Russia and China they did not veto; they just did not vote on it because they are not very sure about US intentions. So that is UN has backed it, but with some exceptions. So BOP is part of US Donald Trump phase two Gaza peace proposal. He wants to resolve Israel-Palestine issue, but the problem here is Israeli head Netanyahu is a part of Board of Peace. Palestinian head is not a part of Board of Peace. There's some other members of Palestine who are part of it. So that raises question. Israeli head is Netanyahu is accused of genocide and all. And Palestinian president, you're not making him a part of it. How will you resolve this issue? By taking fringe elements from Palestine. And then there is a pay and play initiative. Oh my God. There is something which is very interesting here, which is known as this pay to play structure. What is pay to play structure? Pay to play structure means if you are a country, you pay $1 billion, you will become a permanent member of Board of Peace. In a way, it's like you can buy peace. Poorer countries like Pakistan, I'm saying Palestine, who does not have that much money, they will have lesser say. So it's like money can buy peace. It's so sad. So that's why this article is saying that, before India becomes a part of Board of Peace, think about it. Ask Palestinian president why he was not made a part of this. What is the reason behind it? So we have to know these things. They're actually important. So India skipped the BOP announcement. BOP you can see here, and BOP is he wants to resolve Israel-Palestine conflict, and he feels like UN is not working. He means Trump, and that's why they come up with this Board of Peace at Davos, World Economic Forum. Davos is very important, guys, and that's why UPSC has asked so many PYQs from Davos. Why India might consider joining? 20 countries have already joined. India has supported Palestinian cause. Countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia, they can pressurize India, but we don't have to act on pressure. We have to act on our own merit. Like we have to think what is good for us, what is good for Palestine. For Israel, US India ties and ongoing trade negotiations, there are issues, so we may want to feel like don't want to offend Trump and all, but Trump is an orange man. Some people stated it, I am not saying it. And we shouldn't be thinking about appeasing Trump. We have to think about our own concerns. Article argues that India should not act out of fear, and we have to think before we take any stance on this whole Board of Peace. Concerned over unilateral changes. Now, whatever was accepted by UN or passed by UNSC, Trump has made changes over it. Trump has made his friends and family part of the executive board of peace. So it's less like a international forum. It's more like Trump's family initiative, this whole board of peace. So in that regard, will it sideline UN? You have to think about it. Why it has excluded Palestinian president? It's so sad. Benjamin Netanyahu, who is Israeli prime minister accused of genocide, he's a part of it. Palestinian president is not. They have included some other members of Palestine, but you have not included Palestinian president. Pakistan is a part of Board of Peace. So there are anyways too many red flags for us, which you have to look into in this Board of Peace initiative. We're not saying we have any issues with Israel. Israel has helped us during Kargil war. Israel has helped us in different scenarios in defense initiative, Barak missile. We are just saying that there are certain things which has been done by Israel which you cannot say it is correct, even though Israel has held us. We have always been in favor of two-state solution when it comes to Israel and Palestine. So in that regard, you have to look into this particular issue. Pay to play structure, you can pay $1 billion. You can become a permanent member. Anything you can buy with money. People say money is not everything. Look here. First have money and then say money is not everything. India can become a rubber stamp here. So India should consult partners, Palestine, and then take their own independent judgment. That's what this article is talking about. Let's solve some question. MCQ 12. The term pay to play structure in global governance refers to what? What is the basic meaning of this particular term? Pay to play structure. Pay to play. Chepandis. Chepandis means tell me. Mandatory peacekeeping, financial aid in return, linking decision making power or status to financial payments. Then 24th December, or 24th January rather, page 8 editorial GS2 delimitation after 2027, a redrawing power in India, written by H.Y. Qureshi sir, who is a former CEC, former Chief Election Commissioner. So his words count, and we already know what this whole issue is about related to delimitation. Census 2027 will happen, and then they want to increase the number of Lok Sabha seats because they say that this whole Lok Sabha seats is based on 1971 census, and that is not reflecting the current population realities. If you think about how many seats per 100 population or is there in US, UP and Bihar, so that is lesser compared to southern states. The other argument is southern states, they have controlled their population. So why they should be penalized for it? The number of seats which will be increased in Lok Sabha, that will be favoring large states with, the states with larger population. It is said that if the seats are increased after census 2027, two states will account for around 26% of the seats if it is done on the basis of population. And those two states are Bihar and UP. You call them Bimaru states. I am from Bihar, guys. So I have nothing against these states. I'm just giving you an objective assessment. Bimaru states. Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and UP. So this delimitation will be a very, very interesting thing. We will talk about all the things, what options Sir is talking about. There's one very interesting line which H.Y. Qureshi Sir has stated. You have to note it down somewhere. This is a very important topic. This is a recurring topic. And this delimitation, this is a topic which is creating north-south divide. Many people are like, no, the ruling party, with due respect to ruling party BJP, they are having a more influence in northern India, Bihar, UP. That's why they want to increase the percentage of seats in those regions more. So we don't want north-south divide. We already have so many issues which has divided us. We don't want one more, right? So census will count people, delimitation will test Indian democracy. Southern states, they have to come together to ensure they are not disadvantaged when it comes to this delimitation. So let's talk about this issue one by one. So the constitution mandates delimitation after every census. What has happened is our current seats in parliament, they are based on 1971 population data to to in a way ensure states were not punished for successfully controlling population growth. If you're controlling population growth, you're actually doing a good thing. So why you should be penalized for it? It doesn't make any sense, right? So the 84th constitutional, 42nd constitutional amendment, frozen seats based on 1971 population. 84th, they extended this, that this whole thing will continue till 2026. Ideally, what happens in these scenarios is this different amendments will come and they will extend it, that it will be going on till 2046. But this government does not believe in doing status quo things. They want to change stuff. Although they don't meet often in parliament, they have built their own parliament, new parliament, all these things. So yeah, that's again, I don't know. So 84th amendment, now first census will happen and changes will be done. Current representation is based on 548 million population, which was there in India in 71. The current population is 1.47 billion. So that's why there's one argument which is given in favor that why we need this particular delimitation is it is not reflecting the current realities. Per 100 population, the number of seats which states like UP and Bihar they're getting is lesser than southern states, and that is not fair. But the other argument is, why have you increased your population that much fast? And again, the other thing is, many people feel like the current government is doing things in such a fast manner that they want to implement it from 2029. This article is saying that it is not that easy. So many things has to be done: reallocation of seats among states, redrawing constituencies, implementing 33% reservation. So even if census is very proactive, they will take time, and it cannot be done before 2031, 32. So maybe around 2034 elections we will see this. But the way this current central government does stuff, you will I don't think anybody will be surprised if this thing is implemented in you know 2029, but ideally it should not. That's what this article is saying. This article is saying before we do all these delimitation and all, let's talk with certain states, let's talk with southern states, let's talk with southern and western states which have actually control their population. They should not be penalized for a thing which for a good thing which they have done. What should be the way forward? This article has suggested six measures. One is freezing seats, continuing the status quo. Leave things. Why? Don't change stuff which is not broken. This government is, I don't know. I don't want to say anything against this government because I love my life and I want to live, but this is so wrong. So status quo, maintain the things as it is. And the second thing is, if you want to change seats, but let's say you accord 60-70% to population criteria and 20-30%, 30-40% to other criterias. So like finance commission does, they have different indicators. Same thing you can do here. And then they have suggested about Rajya Sabha seat, give equals number of Rajya Sabha seats to each state like US, and other measures. We'll talk about it. So this page's slide is telling you things which we already know, that southern and western state they have done good. So northern states continue to grow faster, and their total fertility rate is more than 2. And if seats are allocated purely by population, these more popular states will gain political weight. And this will create a paradox. The states which actually did good, control their population, they'll be penalized, which is actually wrong, on so many levels. Stark numerical consequences. If the seats increase to 888 Lok Sabha seats, then what will happen? Two northern states, Bihar and UP, they together would command over 26% of the House. That you have to keep in mind. And that's actually a worrying sign. Amit Shah is saying that no southern state would lose seats rather. Nobody is concerned about losing seats. The concern is about the influence. The influence of southern states will decrease. And like northeastern states, their Lok Sabha seats are very less percentage of seats. And you see how much we talk about northeastern states, how they have been ignored to a certain extent. I have spent a lot of my time in northeastern states, guys. I've done my BTech from an IT Gatra. I know so what I'm saying. So we don't want southern states influence to decrease like northeastern states. Hope you're understanding. So percentage of seats will matter, not only absolute number of seats. So what are the six policy options? First, keep the things as it is. Don't just create problems. But then the challenge will be UP and Bihar population, they can say that our representation, per 100 population, this and that is lesser. So it can be challenged. But the first option is keep the things as it is. Second, expand Lok Sabha size. No state loses seats, but then it will harm southern states. It will give dominance to northern states, Bihar, UP, and those states which has where the population has increased. Third thing which we have discussed, do the thing which Finance Commission is doing. Population 70-80% weightage, governance indicators, if they have done good in different domains, let's say tax effort, tax collection, population control, and all, give it 20-30%. Why 20-30? I feel 50-50. Do it 50-50. 50% population, 50% indicators. Maybe that will help in balancing things out. So this is good actually. This weighted seat allocation is a good thing which we can think about. And what are the other three? Strengthen Rajya Sabha federal role. Restore domicile requirement. What is the meaning here? If you remember, Manmohan Singh sir, former PM sir, he was a Rajya Sabha MP from Assam. He's not a citizen of Assam, or he was not born in Assam. Domicile requirement means if you are becoming a Rajya Sabha MP from Tamil Nadu, you have to be from Tamil Nadu. So you can do that. That will ensure Rajya Sabha is having more fairer say, and equal state representation. Give each particular state equal representation so that it's not about population this and that. You can do it. And again, in a way, Rajya Sabha will try to balance out Lok Sabha if you're doing this. Redesign seat allocation to reduce again all these things. Reorganize large state. If larger states, UP and Bihar, they're having so many seats and this and that, population fertility, divide them. Divide them into smaller states so that most of the states are of comparable size. Not exactly feasible, but we can do that. We can divide these states. This is the fifth point. Phase redistribution. Don't do things in a haphazard manner. It will create more shock. If you want to do it in a phase-wise manner, 2034, 39. But looking at the way this government does stuff, I have told you, don't be surprised if things are implemented in 2029. But it will lead to more chaos. Anyway, every day they create chaos on language issue, this and that. And now one more chaos. We don't want that. Let's see how things happen with due respect to all the entities here. Then importance of process, delimit, and you can read all these things. Larger democratic state. It's not about delimitation, boundaries, redrawing. It's about Indian democracy. It's about limiting north-south divide. It's about not creating unnecessary issues. out of anything and everything. So let's see how things pan out. Fingers crossed. Population based. Oh, what happened here? Just give me a second. So population based delimitation creates a moral paradox in Indian federalism. Discuss. So we have discussed the paradox. The states which are doing good, they are being penalized. So you can talk about this, and you can talk about delimitation, which is supposed to happen after 2027. You can define anything. You can define what is delimitation, what is the proposed plan, and how it will disadvantage southern states and western states which have controlled their population. What should be the way forward? You can talk about the solutions. You write whatever you want to write, but you have to substantiate it within 150 words. You can read it in your free time. We have discussed the points. Let's solve some question, guys. MCQ 13. The freeze on interstate redistribution of Lok Sabha seats was primarily introduced to do what? What was the basic aim of this particular freeze? Prevent excessive expansion of parliament, protect states that successfully. B is the answer. MCQ 14. Current allocation of Lok Sabha seats is based on which census? 1971. 15. Which constitutional amendments are directly associated with freezing delimitation? First and third. Where is first and third? C. You could pause me. Whenever you're seeing these questions, pause me and then unpause me. 16th. Proposal to adopt an equal state representation model for Rajya Sabha draws inspiration from which country? US. So like, share, and subscribe, guys. Spread the word. You can post your score in the comment section. How many you got correct? You are your own competition. Competition rather. You're not competing with anybody else. Keep these points in mind, and you will do good. Just keep improving yourself. ठीक है? So that's it from me. Take care. Be blessed. I will see you soon.